Good morning, and thank you for joining me for this Sunday sermon from Holy Saviour Church in Hitchin. Today is Palm Sunday, the beginning of Holy Week. It's also known in some parts of the church as Passion Sunday. It's a day when in Holy Saviour Church and in many other churches across the land and indeed around the world, when there will be a reading of the Passion of Jesus Christ according to the Gospels. Today I'd like to just take a little moment to think a bit about what it is, what was it that Passion actually meant for Jesus. For 3 years, Jesus had gone from village to village, doing good, teaching and healing people. And everywhere that he went, he was surrounded by crowds of people who listened to him and sought various things from him. It had been an incredibly full and active 3 years. And yet during all that time, he had been in control. He came and went more or less as he pleased. But when he was handed over to his enemies in the Garden of Gethsemane, handed over, of course, by one of his own, all this came to an end. It represented a turning point in his ministry, and from then on he began to undergo suffering. And that's when his passion began. From that moment on, he was no longer in control of what was happening. Things were now done to him rather than by him. And so it was, he was arrested, he was put in prison, he was led before Caiaphas, Herod and Pilate. He was interrogated, scourged, crowned with thorns, and given a cross to carry, and then stripped of his clothes, nailed to the cross, and mocked, and finally he died. Jesus fulfilled his mission not only by what he did, but also, and in a way more especially, by what was done to him. In other words, by his passion. We have to be quite clear about one thing, that God, his Father, didn't somehow sort of throw him to the wolves. Jesus died voluntarily. He gave his life. Much of our lives are determined by what is done to us rather than by what we do. In a real sense, you could say this is our passion. And it's in this passion, if we can genuinely accept it, as well as our actions, that leads to salvation. It's important to realise the extent to which we are acted upon. As children, we are at the mercy of adults. And as we move through life, there is fate and betrayal and bad luck and illness of one kind or another. There's loss of friendships, there's failure in relationships. There's disappointments with friends and with spouses and sometimes with children. There's the death of people whom we love. There's the dreary drudgery of day-to-day work and so on. And of course there are joyful moments. There are periods of peace. But the reality is that there are many things which are just outside our control. They're all part of what it means to be human. We do, however, have a choice in how we respond to what life throws at us, and that can make us or break us. Jesus survived as himself, strong and pure and good. Who would we be if loss or crisis or the depredations of time were to take away from us the trappings of success, of self-importance, even personality itself? The Passion story shows just how Jesus responded to what was done to him. He absorbed all of the violence. Indeed, he transformed it and he returned it as love and as forgiveness. And this is the victory of love over all the powers of destruction. There was nothing but love in Jesus. Even when they nailed his hands and his feet, he was loving. It helps us to think about that when we are going through our own times of trial and of suffering. Our hymn for today, were you there when they crucified my Lord? And may God's peace go with you.